everyone. My name is Felicia, and I'm the owner of Feli's Nigerian Kitchen. I want to invite
Good morning to our listeners. Good morning to our viewers. Welcome to today's edition of To The Point. It's Friday, the 15th day of May, 2026. Good morning to those of you who are listening once again via our social media platform, those of you viewing via social media platform, those of you via GBN's web page, that's gbn.gd. Good morning to you. Drivers alike on our nation's roads. Been having some light showers this morning, nothing over the other parts of the island, experiencing a little bit heavier van, maybe in the southern part of the island. So I beg of you to drive along with that due care and attention. Let me say good morning and welcome back to, of course, I still sometimes want to say Pastor.
No, it's fine because
you want to tweak it a little bit now.
But you can tweak it, but it's fine. I said to people, my pastoral duties and role have not changed.
All right.
Persons believe. Well, good morning to listeners. No, I am pastoring Emmanuel Baptist Church, a small church. Mm-hmm. That's where I started ministry. That's where God saved. Okay. That's where it's about 35 persons there. Mm-hmm. And trying now to build this church. Hopefully, in a few years, you could turn it over to somebody who has the capacity to lead it. So yeah, my pastoral role.
We still could refer it as pastor.
Yeah,
still can refer it as pastor.
Correct. Yeah. People send to say, what it is, but no. But people call me. I'm fine. I'm not making any fuss about it. But I say the question.
By you saying that, I think it's probably a good way to start this conversation of this morning. And we're getting to the real one of the main reasons that you're going to be here today. I was focusing on our last conversation we had when you were here a couple of weeks ago, and it's been one of the trending conversations I see, whether it's via the social media or in public conversations you hear folks talk about from time to time. Folks will say they know you as one call.
Yes.
Folks may know you as one call.
Yes.
Then they know you as the pastor. Yeah. You understand? And finally know the politician.
Yes.
And you take a trace of these transitions that you're making. Mm-hmm. You understand? The construction. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that when. Reference the pastor. Reference now the politician. Folks may ask the question once again. I know you answered it to a point already, but I would like to hear it again from you in this particular. No, we are sort of break the ice per se.
Right.
Why were you attracted to politics? That's question A. Mm-hmm. Question B. Tell us about that transition. Per se, the NDC, the NDP, now the movement, and C. I hope we get them all three together. Why have you chosen the particular constituency that you are running, that you intend to be that pre-candidate for?
Right.
Talk to me, Reverend.
Well, I love the question. The first question is about the transition.
Yes.
Right. You're saying from being the pastor to why I choose to be into politics. I've always had a love for politics. That's one, as a person. I grew up in a political house. Yeah. So that's one. So I'm accustomed to it. Second, I am a person who naturally love people, care about people. When I was 22 years of age, I remember my first marriage. Most people don't know I'm married and divorced. Yeah. And Grenada at that time, the difficulties of persons, a pastor being divorced was a real challenge. But God asked me to stay.
Yeah.
I had a choice between, I got an offer to go to the US, to go to England. Friends of mine said, listen, you're too talented and gifted to remain in Grenada. Come, we'll pay you, go back to school, go to college, university. And God asked me to stay. I have a choice. I could go, He still bless me.
Yes.
But He asked me if I would stay here in Grenada, He would even bless me more. So I had a choice to make. It was really good. At that age, my mom and dad in the U.S. and other friends in the U.S. In England, I had Albany. A matter of fact, she, like my mom, she died. God rest her soul in peace. She one wonderful woman. And other person said, listen, come to England. And so those two and staying, I didn't see any way out in staying.
Yeah.
But because God asked me to stay, I stayed.
You stayed.
Right. With that, I'll go to the end of that and say, I have seen the reason why He told me to stay. Because I've seen the blessings that He had poured into my life. And I followed it. So I accepted that. That's one. But naturally, as a person, I have a love for people.
Yes.
I care about people. I care about community. All my life. That's all I've done. I don't have children. Right? So all I've done is given myself to the credit union, to banking sector, to church, to mission work. That's all I've done. It's all about people. They've never been about me. As a matter of fact, my wife says to me at one point, everything is a church, everything is people. You spend so much time focused on that. So that's why. I do it because I love people and I love this country. I really love this country. I think we have so much. We are better than people say who we are. We are better than that. I think don't become what people say you are. I think we have so much more to offer as a country and as individual. I think we are shortchanging ourselves in the way we think about ourselves, in the way that we treat each other, and in the way that we envision the future of our country. I think we can do far more than we are doing now. I think our mindset have to change. 110,000 persons. I think we can transform this country to become an instrument of change beyond our own imagination. We just have to be willing to do it. And that's why I'm still here.
Understandable through that. I still want you to answer this for me. The particular constituency, and this is going to be in the depth of our conversation this morning a whole lot when we get into that segment. But I still want to know, why have you chose that particular constituency?
Well, let me say it with profound words. I was born in Marion, in Cocoa. Yeah. I grew up in Calavini, and I now live in Manjulu.
Okay.
So I've always lived in the constituency that I am. That's where I grew up. That was football, cricket, all my friends, people that I know, family. My grandmother, they were born, my great-grandmother was born, my mother was born there. So for me, choosing that constituency is easy because that is where I was born, that's where I grew up, and that's where I live. And secondly, I really think I can make a difference, continue to make a difference in the constituency for which I was born, I grew up, and I now live.
All right. Tell me, sir, you expecting that, not expecting, but you'll be having that major launch coming up on Sunday. What is the expectation, or what should folks expect from you moving forward? The launch now, I'm assuming you have made your rungs within the constituency. Right.
Not. I've gotten all of the rungs. I'm done. I'm still working. I'm
assuming you, but that percentage is high enough that you're comfortable.
Yeah, you're out. I'm not comfortable with the amount I've done, I would say. But I am working at getting it done. Reaching out in the community and having the in my yard, having that and the visitation. So I'm doing both.
Okay. Right. Tell us what's going to be happening on Sunday. What's your expectation?
Well, Sunday expectation is a bringing of people together from across the constituency and outside of the constituency to be able to share with them first what it is that I'm bringing to the table. As I launch my constituency, as I launch my candidacy for the constituency, and to bring together people for us to be able to establish where is it that we want to take our constituency. That's one. That's first and foremost where I am. And secondly, our country. What we have done in thinking about the people that we're bringing together, you have the leader, the Honorable Peter David, he would be there. You have Holas, a young man from the north, he would be speaking. And you have other persons that would be sharing. Charmaine would be sharing. She from the south. She would be sharing. We have pan music. I'm looking forward to that. I'm always excited about that. We have Terence Bain, my dear friend out of Tobago. Okay. He is a pastor, yes, but he also, like I am, got into politics. Okay. And was successful, and now he's an advisor to one of the ministers in Tobago. So he understands, and he was a pastor of a successful church too in Tobago. And he coming, one, to share his own thoughts of his experience, one, and two, but he's an excellent entertainer when it comes to music. So you'll have part of that being shared there. And then Kamala, one of our young persons, like my daughter, she'll be singing and ministering. And then you have all the speeches that would be giving, but mainly focusing on, one, the Southeast, yes, and secondly, what can we do together? How can we make our constituency better? What are the things that I envision for us as a constituency, one, and two, how the DPM could clearly define the future of our country with good planning and thinking through the things that we need to do as a country to enable us to succeed. That, to me, is a foundation of building and allowing your people in your constituency to see, one, hey, I'm ready for this. Two, I am open to listening to you. And three, I am willing to work on behalf of you.
You spoke about your vision. I want to get into that a little bit. Your vision for the constituency. Yes. Being not hopefully, but you are part of the DPM. You're getting deep into becoming the MP. For the constituency. That vision you foresee for the constituency and Grenada as a whole. Talk to me about that vision, sir.
I do believe that we have not allowed our people to participate enough, and I'll start there and I'll build it up. When we were growing up, there was a lot of what you call community groups. Yeah. That was very much in every community. You had these small groups that helped manage the community, whether it be football, cricket, meeting, somebody die. There was this group that helped pull the community together and to ensure that we have continuity, but also to help build capacity. We no longer have that as much for two reasons. One, they don't have the financial support that is needed to help. I was speaking to one of the groups, and they said, we are doing a lot. The problem we're having, we don't have their resources. There are things to do. There are a lot of elderly in the community. There are people who do not have food. There are persons who are in need, but we cannot help. I want to engage these groups and to be able to allow them to have some, one, financial strength, two, to have the support of government. This is necessary, I think, if you give more support to community group. I believe they could solve a lot of the problems that government would have problem solving. And also, they could help guide you as the MP. What are the things that is needed from your end, from the government side? And they could say, okay, we could do this if you give us this, that. And you focus on that. So it gives you more room to do more if you get the community groups involved. That, for me, is very critical and important in what I'm putting forward, because I see the community group as critical and necessary for our success. And I think where you do not have that, for instance, a lot of our young persons now are more on their phones. It is just the way it is. The society have changed dramatically. You would think about it too when you were growing up. there was a lot. We were more outside. Football, cricket. I mean, when the moonlight up, we have the bobo, the catchers, people outside telling stories. You have your animals that you take care of. So the guys get together on evenings and you're going to get a vine together, holding crab. There was this things that you did together that helped build understanding each other. Problem solving, resolution of anger management. There were a number of things you didn't realize it then. But because you used to be in fight and you get upset with each other, you learn to manage and work with groups of people. Today, if you a lot of the young persons have difficulties working together.
I understand. But I want to chime on you there. You speak of the community.
Right.
And you did mention something that I know, and we all know what this is now. That level of distraction in the world today, especially when it comes to the social media and the personal gadgets that individuals have, getting folks in community to participate is going to be a tough job.
Totally agree.
It's going to be a very, very tough. I don't think there's anyone who have never tried it, and see that it's a tough to get folks participation, especially in community grouping systems. I mean, even though it may have worked then, but no, it's a toughie. It's very, very tough. And if it's part of your vision, I understand that. You understand. But to get individuals to participate in that particular manner, you could have that conversation in depth from the elderly to the young, but participation is going to be a tough. I'm not trying to
No. I agree with you, but I think if you use a couple of things, sports is one of the big things. I mean, you would say, well, kids don't want to get into sports as much, but I think if you get the parents involved, right, and to get them over there, whether what you do, I think that is helpful. But I believe that if you try, it better you try and fail than fail to try. And I think if we look at how our communities are set up, they are small, and somehow I do believe that the community groups is critical for our moving forward in one way. So that's one. The second thing is healthcare. Primary healthcare, I think, for me, it's very important. For the last 7 years, we have been doing this medical mission. And over the 7 years, I have seen how much primary healthcare can really help the bigger picture of government, the general hospital, for people getting care at the primary level, would have them less going to the doctor, all right, less having to go to the general hospital if we have very good primary health care. So the health care centers, I think more resources need to be put in there to be able to help our people to see that government care about them, but not only just doing the healthcare center. When I remember on the cliff, we used to have where the nurses used in some place they lived in. So I think we need to go back to see if we can, but the resources have to be there with the doctors, because if you have to run to the hospital, if as your local healthcare center there's a nurse and a doctor or a doctor on call, it means you could go there first to get treated instead of going to the general hospital. So that is something that is dear to my heart. And I think it is very important that more resources be put into that. I also would say, and the Honorable Gregory Bowen has done a great job at that in terms of the infrastructure, in the roads and putting in villages and people homes. He has done. I want to commend him on the work that he has done in making that happen in the constituency. But one of the things I think that we are failing to do, we are building our roads too narrow. You're still struggling. There's not the thinking through of the visionary thinking that, listen, 2 vehicles have to pass on this road. And if you're building these by roads this narrow, we end up with a bigger problem because the vehicles are not getting less. They're getting more. Therefore, every by road we build, we should be thinking about putting it wide enough to accommodate vehicles that 2 vehicles could pass easily on it.
We're due for a break, but I just want to get this out from you. With your core principles from the 30 years of, pastoral leadership and so forth, how will that apply to in terms of community development for you, sir? That is who I am. That's a point. Community, I remember trying to put together Spring South Village Festival, which bringing
the community together in a playing field once a month, where people come with who could do craft, who could do food, who could do things. And once a month, the last Friday in every month, where people come and they're selling, and we know this happen, fry, fish, whatever the case is, but you build that within the community, bring communities together. It has really helped me when looking back at my life, because my love and passion for people and the things I've done being at St. George's Baptist Church and in ministry. It is what I really want to see. I really want to see the community come together. I've done redemption across the country, really working hard to see people give their life to Christ. But I've also come back and work hard in doing the medical mission right across the country, seeing people healthy. So at every facet of my life, I've given back to the community, back to the country to ensure that we succeed.
All right. We drew for the break. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back.
Hi, this is Ruby from Chinese Embassy. We will be part of the GBN King of the Grill on May 30th. So we will be presenting our authentic Chinese grill, and we welcome you to come out and join us in the festival and sample this. So see you there.
Fire up the coals, bring the flavor. It's time to crown the King of the Grill. Maggie King of the Grill 2026 is calling you. Think you got the creativity, the skills, and the fire to rule the grill? This is the ultimate showdown for chefs, backyard masters, and the food lovers alike. Step up, show your talent, and claim your spot among the best. With over $5,000 in cash and prizes to be won, the stakes has never been hotter. Happening Saturday, May the 30th. Register now. Call or WhatsApp 407-8458. But hurry, registration close April the 30th. Don't wait. Bring your fire, bring your flavor, and bring your A-game. Maggie, King of the Grill 2026, where champions are made on the grill.
At 5 p.m. on August 5th, 1944, the schooner Island Queen sailed out of the St. George's Harbor. On board were some of Grenada's brightest and best sons and daughters. What happened afterwards remains a mystery.
Where Island Queen gone?
Heritage Theatre Company presents Lucy's Straw Hat, a full-length drama written and directed by Chris DeRiggs, a moving story about a family caught up in the drama of this great mystery. Meet Mammy Sylvie, a woman with a secret too heavy to keep but too painful to reveal.
I'm asking for forgiveness for not telling you the truth.
Pa John, the war veteran.
Sometimes I sit here feeling so helpless, so crushed.
Hyacinth, always ready to do mischief.
You don't see the woman Uncle Norris married? She face ugly enough to turn milk.
Lucy, beautiful and headstrong.
I had a dream, Mommy, but Hyacinth was there, holding my hand.
Lucy's Straw Hat at Grenada Trade Center on Saturday 13th and Sunday 14th June, and at the Luke Cinema on Saturday 20th and Sunday 21st June. All shows 7 p.m. Advance tickets $60, $75 at the door. Come join us.
Where Island Queen gone?
Life doesn't stand still. It moves. It grows. It asks you to believe in what's next. Your first car. Owning your home. The business you build. The future you choose to invest in. Life moves in steps. When you're ready to take the next one, we're here to help you move forward with banking solutions designed for life. From vehicle financing and mortgages to education savings, credit solutions, and support for your growing business. Republic Bank, ready for life, every step.
back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, once again. Let me welcome back, of course. He says, call him Pastor Simon. I'll call him Pastor Simon. Welcome back, sir. Welcome back.
You can call me Stanford. I'm fine with it too. So I'm okay. I'm okay.
All right. You know, you may see us chatting off mic, but we've been having that off a conversation that sometimes, you know, it's always good to get an in-depth in how the individual ruling. Your background is in housing.
Yes,
if I'm right about that.
Yes.
Building. And is there really a possibility for Grenada, and I'm just transitioning to this particular level of questioning right now, your background in housing, is there really possibility in Grenada for housing for all? And then or is that just a pie in the sky kind of fun? Because we hear
I hear they use housing for all. Government cannot give everybody a home. Let's be frank with that.
Yes.
It cannot happen. What I believe needs to happen is to facilitate, to make it easier for people to earn, people to get a loan, persons to be able to build a home. And I think, as I've always said, for a government to succeed, it must first love its people and care for them enough to see them living from one level to the next. But that come with commitment of not just saying that you're going to do it. For instance, housing. One of the things that DPM is proposing is that a 35,000 grant for persons who are single to help them, because young person, you had to be under the age of 35 to be able to get that start, to be able to get a loan and to move forward. If you're married, then it's 50,000, that grant to get you to start. We are saying if you look at 1% of the budget, which is about $10,000 a year, in 5 years you're spending $50 million, right? If you think about it, you're spending $10 million in the budget every year.
Yes.
Over 5 years, 10 fives are 50.
Yes.
You can't do all one time, but take enough that you could get done. Don't say you want to build 500 homes and you know you could only build 100. I think it's better I under promise and over deliver. So there need to be a system to be able to help persons to build, but also I think coming through with planning. I think we also need to make planning more accessible and quicker. Plans coming out of planning, that is critical. Things stay too long in planning. I think in terms of they have gotten better. I must congratulate them on that. But you need plans to go in there and come out much quicker, because I think a lot of buildings are held up for a longer period because they have stayed too long to approve, and then you have the timeline for the loan in the financial institution. That's a challenge. Government have no control over that. But I think there need to be a discussion and a way to be able to do housing on a better scale to help persons who cannot afford it, because young persons with our salary scale in Grenada, let us be honest, it's difficult for a young person to be able to walk in to get a home. It's easier for them to get a vehicle. Young person start to work and they could go to the bank and get a loan for $100,000 to buy a vehicle. But if they go to the same institution and say, I want to buy a piece of land for $100,000, they have a hard time. Why? Because I would think the financial institution think that you could get rid of the vehicle much quicker and easier and get it sold, and you get a piece of the land. But I believe that if the financial institution, I know the credit union have been doing more in that, I think it's going to be helpful. But housing is critically important to me, and for the DPM, we see it as one of the things we need to do for young people, because they need the help. No matter what angle you look at it, we need to find a way of empowering our young person to succeed. And they cannot succeed if they're not financially strong, if they do not see a way out, or a way in and a way out.
The idea that you spoke of from the DPM in terms of giving individual that $35,000 as a single individual, and as a married couple you get 50. There's been that talk around individual. It's how feasible that could really be. You just gave an examples of what governments spend in terms of what they have budgeted for and so forth, and it could add up where it can happen. Is it really feasible for that to happen, sir?
It is feasible. Let me tell you this. What I have learned in financing and working with government could always find money to do what it wants to do. Government will always find money to do what it believes is necessary and what the dream and vision of the leader and the party is. That means somebody have to want it so bad that they'll make it happen. If we take 1% of our budget, let's say 2% of our budget each year and say, okay, we're dedicating this to helping in housing. You tell me we can't do that? That is possible. That's not impossible.
It's not impossible. You'd always know it's a conversation we have heard.
No, I
over the years.
I know. But listen to the other problem that we have. If you have such an ongoing program you would have, and is skilled labor.
Yeah.
Right now we have a problem with skilled labor in the country. So you have the point of contractors, right? But then the skilled labor to be able to build those homes will become a problem, because if you have the private owners are building, and government is giving huge support to helping persons to build homes, and you say, okay, every year we look like we could build 50 homes a year. That's a huge input into the economy.
Yes.
And that, with the private people building their homes, it means that you would have a problem with skilled labor. So you also have to be thinking through how will you support those homes in building if you have to bring in a labor. If it is now that you have to start, well, we must start training our people. I'm saying we need to, because we have a skill shortage in the country that need to be satisfied.
All right. I hope I have the Honorable Peter David pop in one of these days, and I can get a little more in depth with him in terms of that, of that political philosophy. I want to ask you this, and as I mentioned the Honorable Peter Davis' name, there's always that conversation you hear from time to time, and sometimes I'm preview the conversations that folks are saying, you're a disciple of Peter.
A disciple of Peter.
Is that true, sir?
No, that's not true. I said to people, I and Peter have been friends for the past 25 years.
Yes.
We became friends, worked through the NDC. That's where we met.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, through that we met when we were trying to revive the NDC, which was pretty dead when we got it, and going around the country. Working together, meeting people, talk. We became friends.
Yeah.
We became friends, and very good friends. In a way that Jonathan and Nathan, we look at the Bible. They're people who are friends, and they are good friends. And because they are good friends, you don't have to be a disciple of. Because people interpret I am a disciple of Christ. That's who I am. There's only one person I'm a disciple of. Yeah. It's Christ. There's no
I just wanted to get that clear.
Yeah. No. But I just want to say to people, I am a disciple of Christ. But I am Peter David. We are good friends.
All right. How do you think former Congress members will regard you as of course, on your in this particular quest as politician? Do you think you have their support?
I believe I do. When you say former, those who are...
Yeah. I mean, members of the former, of course, Democratic Congress.
Well,
you were aligned.
Listen, I'm friends with nobody. I'm enemies of none. I'm friends of all and enemies of none. I do not believe in any form or shape that because you have a different view to somebody, you should not be friends. I never believed it. I will never believe it. The Honorable Peter Telesford, Philip Telesford, Andy Williams, we are friends. Andy Williams are my good friend. I don't see him as any, we have always been. So the people who are my friend, Ron Redhead, was a member of the St. George's Baptist Church, used to attend the church. So these are people that I know personally. I have no doubt we are on different political platform. But outside of that, I don't see in any form or shape I have any issue with them or they have any issues with me. The thing I always say, this personal attack to people, it's not healthy. It is not. You wouldn't get me doing it. It's not healthy. And the problem we face right now, I think, that people trying to shape, Ronald Reagan sat with Gorbachev. And you know that the Soviet Union was at the minute the two, America and Soviet Union was fighting each other. Superpower, Cold War. and Ronald Reagan sit across the table with Gorbachev, he looked at him in his eyes and he says, people say that we are enemies, but we do not have to be what they think and what they say. I think we have to come to grips and understand we don't have to be what people say we are. We have to be who we believe we need to be for the best of us. We are better than who people say we are. I always say that. The question is, are we willing to take responsibility for our action to help transform first our lives, transform our family, our community, and the country? But that comes with a willingness of not being able to look at each other, persons on Facebook, and the filth, the nastiness that they do. I always ask myself the question, what do these people do? Who are they? It tells you who the person is. People who spend time on social media using those saying these terrible things about people is who they are. But I think they're better than who they say they are, or they're trying to make other people feel. I think that they're better than that. I don't think that that's who they are, but they have become that because they've allowed it to happen. And it's not helpful.
Let me also ask you this. As a pastor, I suspect that you have had a lot to do with your flock in terms of the health situation and stuff. How do you view Project Polaris and this government's health plan, sir?
Let me be honest. I think Polaris is a pie in the sky. Let me tell you why. Let me explain myself. Manhattan, I'm starting there. I think we still have access to Manhattan land, right? It's still government.
I hope.
Well, I hope. That is land that we have that we could have used to build a hospital if we need to. That's one. I also think that as you look at building out a new hospital, I'm not saying that we do not need a new hospital. I believe that the size that we're trying to build it at, is it sustainable? Can we afford to maintain it? We having trouble maintaining the one that we have now.
Yeah.
We have trouble stocking the one that we have, having the right medication, having the amount of doctors, the amount of nurses that we need at the one we have now, which is far smaller than we have. Now, I am not doubting that we can do a hospital, but the scale of what we're trying to do, I think, is beyond what we are capable of doing to be sustainable in the long term for our country. If it is, and the thinking is that it will be one of tourism, I understand that. But when the United States says that they put a travel advisory out on us, what happened to us? But it is easy for us to get caught in this. I do believe that as much as we're talking healthcare, let us focus on what we have now. I think if we go back and focus on the primary healthcare, put more money, more resources into doing that, paying our nurses more, having more training and development for our people, graduating more nurses out of SGU. But at the same time, if you pay them more, then they wouldn't leave and go to the United States. They wouldn't leave and go to other countries, because I don't think these nurses, they pay more, a better service here in Grenada, they would go anywhere. Because I think they really love their country. They love being here. The problem I think they're confronted with financially, the compensation is so low, they can't see themselves making it. But when they go there, they work a couple of years and they're fine. Why then can we pay them more, compensate them better, allow them to stay, treat them better, have more training to develop them, which then become better service, which then serve our local healthcare clinics better? I think we can do far more if we change our focus and put things in place to allow us to be far better than we are now. The General Hospital, if you want to move the General Hospital, I all for that. I all for that. But I think it should be on a scale that is affordable, a scale that we can see it clearly for what it is, that we're building a hospital to serve our people, but we put a wing or two in that the persons who are returning national could say, if I come home, boy, the service is good. That is what you want. Or
isn't the government saying that is what's been will be offered now?
That's what they say, but the size of what they're saying that we're going to do, I think it's too. I think the size of the project it's too big for Grenada. How are we going to sustain that? Let us be honest. I mean, forget the politics. Right now, we have problems funding, taking care of the general hospital we have now. Right now, we have clinics. Look at the Grove Polyclinic. It's not properly staffed. There is not enough equipment there. I think about library. It's closed. All right? There are others, I'm sure, across the country that need fixing, that need staffing. If we were to put resources into that first, build up our primary health care, because if you build up your primary health care, you still could build a hospital later on, but you fix the primary service and continue to build from bottom up. What we're trying to do now is build from top down, which I think doesn't help us for who we really want to help. It's the ordinary man, the mother in the village, the father that get damaged, the young man that fall and break your foot or have a cut and you want it to be fixed. So I'm saying, or the person of a sore and cannot be healed. She want the nurse who she know to come by and dress her every day.
All right. We drew for a break, so let's take it. We're coming right back. Stay with us, folks. To the Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back.
Time to open up the door. Who do you trust to lift us higher? The roads to light the fire. To stand for people, not for fame. You know the name.
The Democratic People's Movement is taking it to St. George Southeast, and it's going to be an evening to remember. Join the DPM on Sunday, May 17th at the Marion playing field. Gates open at 6:30 in the evening, and for the official candidate launch of a man ready to represent, ready to deliver, ready to lead, Stanford Simon, your next member of parliament for St. George Southeast. Political leader Peter David will be there. All the way from Trinidad and Tobago also, a special guest appearance. Terence Baines joins the platform with Kamala Stephen and sweet steel band music. Stanford Simon, community, commitment, change. Sunday, May 17th, Marion playing field, 6:30 o'clock in the evening. Be there. DPM, together we move.
Forward with DPM, and in men we rise again. From the hills to the harbor's end, vote for the people's movement, friend. Forward with DPM, every voice, every now and then.
Hi, I'm Francis Urias Peters, inviting you to join us at the Grenada Trade Center Saturday, May 16 for a grand concert to assist Cuba in the humanitarian crisis. Performances from top poets, drummers, calypsonians, dancers, storytellers, and dramatists. Tickets from Grenadian Optical in St. George's and Spiceland Mall and at the door at $50. Grateful Grenada gives back to Cuba with this grand fundraising concert at the Grenada Trade Center this Saturday, May 16 at 7 p.m. See you there.
The Ministry of Agriculture White Potato Production Initiative is an OECS sub-regional project aimed at reducing Grenada's reliance on imported white potatoes, which in 2025 had an imported value of over 4.5 million EC dollars. The White Potato Production Initiative is part of the Ministry of Agriculture's food security drive and is being undertaken with the simultaneous cultivation of other crops such as sweet potatoes, pineapples, coconuts, carrots, and other vegetables. Other OECS countries like Dominica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines are already at an advanced stage in white potato production, with Dominica completely cutting the import of white potatoes during the first quarter of 2026. Grenada is now preparing to advance production for better output in 2027. The Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, ensuring food and nutrition security for all.
Hello and welcome everyone to GBN's Rock the Box Weekly. These are your smashing hosts, Prince Charlton and Nyara. Over 100,000 beautiful people tuning in today. And that's quite a lot, isn't it, Craig? There's only one place they can help you keep up with music and culture today. Started as the underhorse, as they say. Prince and Nyara on the commentary at 8:30. And now, they're Crave, who have the latest trendy song that make you want to sing along. Food, fashion, culture, all in one. Tune in to Rock the Box tonight, and you're going to catch a vibe. Wait, you think this show about to end? Look like they're run it back again. Every Friday they're teaming up. Grenada cannot get enough, and the crowd they just erupt. Hold on, sorry to interrupt you here, Craig, but wait, oh my, what to do on a Friday night? Rock the Box up the nation high. Tune in if you wanna know why. They've got like artists performing music here just like Craig. Craig, what's that program's name? Listen what the crowd is saying. Rock the box, rock the box, rock the box. Let's go. Rock the box, rock the box, rock the box. Let's go. Turn it on, 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 turn it on. Let's go. Turn it on, 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 turn it on. Let's go. Rock the box, rock the box, rock the box. Let's go. Rock the box, rock the box, rock the box. Let's go. Turn it on, 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 turn it on. Let's go. Turn it on, turn it on, turn it on, turn it on. Watch our rock the box take over tone. Rock the box chin on the ground. Rock the box, we having we fun. Rock the box time. Every Friday night we tune in everyone. Rock the box time. Take over tone. Rock the box time. Having we fun. Rock the box time.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. We're into the, of course, the final moments. I'm not like to use the word final, because it's going to just be up a wee bit. So 10 minutes left on the program. Of course, we invite our listeners and viewers. If you want to chime in on the conversation, feel free to do so. Pastor Simon, from our last conversation when you were here a couple of weeks ago, and to now, how has it been for you, sir, in terms of going into the constituency? I want to talk about that a wee bit before we start taking those calls. Going into the constituency, that general feedback that you've been receiving, are folks gravitating to you as the individual? No, not as Pastor Simon, but as the politician.
Right. Yeah, it's nice. I must say, I'm smiling because you know what I said of Andrew Wong, my campaign manager, was walking through, and it feels at him, it feels like witnessing. Like when we go out and witness to people and invite them to give their life to Christ or invite them to a church, it's the same thing, the same principle. And the discussion, Andrew was saying, I went up there and the lady said, she having some pain and was she going to do a surgery. So I prayed for her. Somebody told me about their child, not doing well. So I went up there, talked with them a bit and prayed with them. It's a mixture of my pastoral ministry and being the person of one individual who's seeking a political office. Because if I'm not a politician, I'm seeking a political office of leadership, because I think it's very different. It has been an amazing thing for me. I must say, DT, I'm enjoying it. Your person said, Pastor, I think you should be in the pulpit. You shouldn't be here. Someone said it's a great thing. So you get the mix. But more, I think, for me, people are saying it is a right thing to do because they believe I have something to offer. And that, I think, is what gets me very excited.
Happy to hear that. Happy to hear that. As mentioned, we're going to, of course, take some calls from our listeners and viewers over here this morning. 435-2041. I beg of you callers, when you are calling in, please be brief with your contribution so we can accommodate as much calls as possible, or as many calls as possible. Let's take our first caller via the WhatsApp. WhatsApp caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Simon, before would you agree that it is really important?
Caller, for some reason, I'm not sure if you're using a Bluetooth device, but you sound very muffled this morning. Caller, are you there? Oh, we may have to go to another caller. Let's take this caller via the direct line. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes, hi, good morning. How are you doing?
Doing great. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, wonderful. Mr. Stanford Simon.
I must congratulate you in terms of what you've done so far. But in the same vein, in all honesty, I mean, everything must be done incrementally, because thus far, the administration under Deacon Mitchell leadership, some of what you're talking about is what they're already doing in terms of trying to see as much as persons to get involved. They raise some of the salaries in Grenada, and they're trying to see what they can do with the doctors and the nurses. And they're preparing the way for healthcare in Grenada, not just healthcare. In music, they're broadening some of the roads, as you see. I heard you earlier mention about broadening the road, and this government under the leadership of Deacon Mitchell, they're doing that. So there's a lot of things that I hear people talking about that currently the government they're doing it right now. We've seen, for example, Comspan, bringing the music and stuff like that, having the children learning to play music, and the Ministry of Education as well as the government invested in PAN and culture, and stuff like these things, lighting the playing field, brand new coaches in the schools, the free tuition fee, and stuff like that. And not just that, they're trying to make sure every household in Grenada, Carriacou, and Matnik, they have a university graduate. And they basically spend millions of dollars with scholarship and so on. And these are some of the things that we had to talk, because, education is the key. Any leader or any person that pushing education, it therefore means that they're thinking about the future of Grenada, Carriacou, and Matnik. So based upon that, I'm not already hearing anything new that you guys coming with, in all honesty, but incrementally, because the government doing a lot, and you don't expect them to do everything overnight. It's only almost 4 years since they've been in power, right? So give them some credit, and at the same time, I have to say enough respect to you, Stanford Simon, for the work that you've done. But I think you should join the NDC, and I think you will do a good job with them. Have a good day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you.
Well, first, I want to remind you that the NDC expelled me out of the party. I didn't leave. They told me didn't want to be there. But I congratulate the government on what they are doing. We think we can do better. I think we can do. There are things that we can do better, and some of the things that we're doing. Yes, we would build on what they're already doing. If things that we believe that they're already doing that is within the vision or where we want to see the country, we would allow that to function. But we also think we have things we want to do, and we will build on what they are doing.
Okay, we do have another WhatsApp caller live. Good morning, welcome.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much, Pastor Simon. Good morning, and Mr. GT. Pastor Simon, you heard some phrases like pie in the sky, and I heard you talked about like a single person giving $35,000, correct me if I'm wrong, and like a married couple, for example, $50,000. Now, as you into the building or in the building industry, and a quote-unquote decent house for a married couple, and anticipating they may have children and so on, $500,000 is not unheard of in terms of the cost. And full well with simple mathematics, not talking calculus or trigonometry, just addition and subtraction and multiplication and division, that the process in which a bank decide or lending institution decide whether someone is qualified for a loan, they have to have a source of income, and a certain percentage of the income have to be available. And there are mathematics formula to do that anyone can do. You can plug it in on the computer and figure it out. And so if I'm making $2,000 a month, the bank is not going to give me a loan for whether I have to pay $1,500 a month, because I still need to eat, I still need maintenance, I still need clothing and all this stuff, healthcare and all this kind of stuff. So my concern is that if the government goes along and if somebody who is having problems getting a loan, $50,000, for example, a couple, and so you make a down payment, but when come to the maintenance, the upkeep, the utilities, the food, the clothing, and all those basic needs, then that person may not be able to afford maintaining a thing. And you alluded to that. In fact, the very reason, logic you use to express your concern about Project Polaris, that's about maintenance and upkeep and so forth like that, that very logic add weight to the comment, the concern I have, and I kind of lost you in terms of how the government can afford that. That I think sounds like a pie in the sky. or pies in the sky, so I'm really at a loss. There's no such thing as a free lunch. The caller prior to me clearly stated all of the stuff the government is doing. When I went to school, we had to pay for it unless you had a scholarship. No, it's free secondary, free education, and so on and so on and so on. People want free medication. Everything is free. And top of that, where's the government going to get money, whichever government it is, to do that kind of stuff? You really lost me on that one. And I think Mr. GT, and I'm not speaking for him, was kind of a little bit, and he said, we're going to have to wait for the other gentleman to explain that further. So is that something you're not prepared to explain? And maybe you should just say, I don't have the information on that, or something you're willing to explain. Do you have an appropriate answer for?
Thank you, caller.
So let me be clear on this. This is a down payment for a person going in to get, like you have the bank asking for 10,000, 15,000, you have to be able to put down. The bank or the credit union had financial institution had to make the decision that the person capable of paying or not. What we're saying, we are helping you to get a start. That's what it is, because most young people do not have the money. They may have the money to their monthly salary could allow them. Let's say they have a loan for $100,000 or $150,000. You could allow them to do it, but they do not have the initial down payment that they need to make, right, to put in. So that's what we're talking about here. That's one. The idea that government cannot afford, I often say, how much money the government put forward in 500 houses they say that they're spending on it. Government could always, we're talking about 1% of our budget, and you're talking over 5 years. It's not doing things all at once. Every year putting $10 million to housing. So in other words, this is not something is up high in the sky. 1% of your budget towards housing for your people, I don't see that that's hard to do. It's very, very easy. And it's not that I don't have knowledge of what I'm speaking about. I understand building. I understand what it takes to build a house. But I also understand there are people out there who are suffering, who cannot do anything because they do not have the means. They cannot, if they look to save $35,000 or $50,000, the length of time it will take them to get that money. Their age, they got older. The bank then tell them by the time they reach the time, listen, your age, you need to, we could no longer help you. So I'm saying, we are saying as DPM, we want to put something in place to mitigate against that and to give our people a start. That's all we're saying.
Okay.
And we're not giving a free lunch. You have to pay your bill. But we are saying, if we give you a grant, it can help you start. But that generates a lot of work in the country, which did benefit all of the money coming in with the taxes and all that coming in. It benefit the entire country.
Okay. We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Morning, GT. Morning to your listeners and your viewers, and of course, morning to Pastor Simon. I was triggered to call. Normally, I try to stay away from these political conversations. But Pastor Simon mentioned something about the nurses being attracted to go out. The thing about it is that if you give us a chance, all of us would leave Grenada, with few exceptions. Because of the psychology of the conditioning, the colonization of the mind. I know a number of people in the United States right now who are there with a lot of discomfort or even trapped because the promise of more money, being whether it's as nurses or others, and I mean, either they're ashamed or they just can't return. I mean, or wouldn't return out of, feeling a bit of humiliation. Now, I'm saying that to say, unless we seek to emancipate ourselves totally from the vestiges, from the residue of slavery, imperialism, capitalism, the predatory, parasitical framework we have established over the years, until we liberate, decolonize our minds and situation, we will have that. Because if we train about paying the nurses, we have to do everyone, the street cleaners, the teachers, and I don't think we have the will or the courage to break from that, because we still operate. Look at the debt we have incurred over the years. These are things we need to address. I know it's complicated, but when we try to make things that is so simple, it's not so simple. We still have to operate within the ambit of Uncle Sam. And I agree with him in one sense that we could have been focusing more on, this is something I have advocated for myself over the years, primary health care. But it's more complicated than anything else. We had to deal with the community and so on. We've been promoting selfishness, individualism, and everything, and also educating people for a system that doesn't exist, that is not functional anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery, Bob Marley says. But that's one. But the government also had to help people to emancipate themselves. One of the things that is necessary, especially for our nurses, I always said that, yes, people would go whatever, but we need to start somewhere. Compensation needed. We need to do better compensation for our nurses and doctors. It is critically, that's a critical part of our lives. If you have a healthy nation, you have a sick nation. What happened to us? The more healthier your people are, the better off we are. If you have more food for people to eat, which is another pillar of the DPM, it is very important. And energy, those three pillars are critically important for any country. If you can build these three pillars, yes, you can't solve all the problems in a year or 5 years or 10 years, but I believe that if we start a process, but there also, DT, there need to be collaboration with the other stakeholders. You need not as a government doing it all. You need to engage the opposition. You need to engage them, and you'll be able to have some things, whether it's 5 or 6 things that you all agree on. Whoever in government, we would continue to do them. You may tweak it a bit, but there need to be some clear guidelines between governments and between political parties. These are the 5 things, or these are the 2 things we all agree we will do. Whoever is in government, that is part of our problem. We need to think differently. If we want this country to progress, and I am here because I want to see it better. DPM is here because we want to see it better. But that betterment can only come if we choose to make it better between ourselves, and that take a level of commitment.
All right, we do have another caller. What's up, caller? You're live. Good morning and welcome.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Simon.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I like Simon's opinion on too. With regard to the question of our international airport, is the size of that airport the size that Grenada desires or need? Because we only have probably how many aircrafts coming to Grenada? Probably 15 in one day. So is it the size that we require and we need? We built it many years ago, since 1984. I have 2 questions to ask him after that.
You want to respond to the caller?
The size of the airport, nothing wrong with our airport. We built an international airport. International is 900 feet. And I remember Ronald Reagan, the U.S. government said it was too big. It was a military base. As Maurice Bishop rightly said, we have to be fools to build an airport that cannot accommodate the aircrafts as put forward by the international standard and also by Boeing. We had to build an airport that could accommodate the flights.
Right.
I don't need a long lecture on it. I have an idea of the airport. As a professional, as a contractor, as a pastor, you may have an idea. What size of hospital do we need in Grenada for our population? Can you recommend what size?
Can't recommend a size, but what I do know, and I could tell you, that 2 things need to happen. Our primary health care, we need to put more money into that, and our now general hospital, more resources need to go into that. Those 2 things I know.
But we should let him just finish off his question and then get an answer. Caller, go ahead.
Now, we have tourism. Tourism is important for our country. We have aircraft coming together. God help us if we have an incident on the airport. It can happen at any time, you know. We're dealing with things that can have problems. If we have a simple accident in Grenada with 2 cars, having 8 people, if they need critical care, right now we cannot handle it at our hospital. If you don't know that, find out. How many critical care beds we have at the general hospital? We need a new hospital. We may have issues with regard to how it's been done. Yes, but we need a hospital today, not next year, not 10 years from now. We need it a long time ago. So let us come together. We know that that's something that every Grenadian could work on. Let's stop the pulling and talking there. It's still in the process. It could be tweaked. It could be changed. It could be reorganized. Probably having nurses and doctors on board from the beginning is very important. I'm not hearing that. But that is important. Not when you build the building, you bring them on. You bring them on from the beginning. But I think it is critical. With all the other investments that we need to do, there is enough Grenadians available in Grenada and outside of Grenada to do all of what you're talking about. Primary health care, and the building of the new hospital. And the size of the new hospital is based on international standards, just like the airport. The utilization of it, we have 100,000 Grenadians. Yes, we have to utilize it in a certain way. We can't go and build one that have 10 beds. It would be ridiculous. So let us stop the pulling here and there and saying we need to build it later. You are a contractor, the price will increase later on. You're not going to get cheaper materials to build it, or cheaper labor to build it. So let us stop the pulling and tugging here and coming up with red herrings about let's do primary health care. We can do all at the same time. On the question of nurses and doctors, what we need to do is to train more. If we train more nurses and doctors, if we start training 500, 2,000, we wouldn't have a problem with doctors and nurses. Let us wake up. The example is there. St. George's University has been training doctors. We need to train a lot more. The more we train is the better. The larger pool. All wouldn't leave. There are lots of people who love Grenada, and they would stay. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, caller.
I'm not disagreeing with the caller on many of the things he said. I never disagree that we need a new hospital. I agree that we need one. I'm just saying the approach of doing it and the amount of money that we're going to spend to build what we're going to build, I do not believe it's in our long-term interest in the way that we're going about doing it. I think it's a different approach, but I clearly know, as he said, yes, that we need a new hospital. Yes, primary health care, as I've said, that we need that. Yes, nurses and doctors training, we need that. I'm in no disagreement with that. I'm just saying that the approach that we use.
Okay. Caller live, good morning, welcome.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Telesford. Greeting. Let me be brief. Mrs. So many things to talk about. Morning, Mr. Simon. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. And how are you?
Happy to hear that by the grace of God I'm there also. Listen. Deja vu again. This partisan political bickering. I listen to certain calls. Of course, they have the right to say what they want. But before going any further, make my significant point and ask a question, Mr. Stanford. Let me say, I totally agree with you. I repeat, I totally agree on the issue relative to this hospital. To me, it's just a delusion. No, more than delusion. Where you go again? Well, it's a delusion, an artificial intelligence delusion, and more than that, it seems to be hallucinating. Pie in the sky. Listen, Mr. On the healthcare business, I suffer with a problem. I've been suffering a problem. I've requested of the state of Grenada to assist me, a blind 75-year-old who worked so hard for this here country, and they refuse to pay for some tests for me because the hospital can't do it in another place which I don't have the money to do. And they refuse me. But tell me, is it because of this crazy blind jackass that I am, or is it the policy? They're negating the people right to public health care as it is right now. You talk about primary health care since 1976 in Almaty in Kazakhstan. They established a system up to today. We can't do anything about it with all the system we had from Cuba and wherever. We wasting time. We spending top in money. You want to know my Mr. The system that we've been built, that this country has been built and continue to function, says nothing in this constitution about the economic structure of the country. So everybody doing things according to their whims and fancies. But here, Mr. This is my question to you. Why I believe that anything has to be changed in this here country has to be changed from the foundation of the country. I want to know your position on the constitution. Are you prepared to continue if one day you were to hold office? When I say you, I refer to the team that you represent, to put a question to the people relative the constitutional architecture of this country, because as far as I am convinced that nothing will change for 52 years. Every new administration comes, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it, and we will do this, and we will. Nothing is being done, and the people catching the royal ass. Until when? Are you prepared to put your neck on the block that you will do something to bring about in conversation with the people through a constituent assembly, so that we as a people united can get as close to consensus as possible to chart a future for our country? Thank you very much for what it's worth, sir. Do have a nice day, will you?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
I love to hear how he expound, but I won't put my neck on a block. But I would say very clearly, constitutional change, personally, it's clearly in the center of where I stand, because I believe it is important for the development of our country. DPM believe that constitutional reform must happen. We cannot continue to function with the constitution we have and the way that it operates. It is not helping us as a country. If you look at many of the countries that we follow and look at, they have done constitutional reform. Malaysia have done it. If you look at with the countries like Australia, England themselves have done it. We have not done it. Across the Caribbean, many countries have done it. So I'm saying it is important for us. We must do it. It must be done. For the sake of a future generation of our country, it's important that we get constitutional reform done. And that's something I want to say clearly. The DPM believe need to be done. I personally believe it need to be done. And our leader, Honorable Peter David, is clearly believe that that must be done for as a people for us to move forward as we ought to.
All right. We do have another caller. Although we've been short for time, this may be our caller that will, of course, wrap this today's the call-in segment. Caller via WhatsApp, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
GT, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. I beg of you to be brief, please.
Good morning, Pastor Simon. Pastor Simon, my question to you, all right? First, we had Paul Zepota, right? If Maurice Bishop didn't say the vision, we'll never end up with a Maurice Bishop International Airport. We also look at the stadium. If there was not a vision, we'll end up with the same Queen's Park, we will never end up with a stadium. Now, we see what's going on with the hospital and the location where the hospital is, all right? And we see with the School of Medicine that the students cannot do the residency. And now we're getting a hospital, a teaching hospital, which people from me who live in the diaspora want to come back in Grenada, and because of the health system, I'm afraid to come back to Grenada. And you telling me about the building a big hospital? Where is your vision? Where is your vision? Pastor Simon, I see you as nothing but a con artist, a fraudster, and somebody who just...
All right, caller. We don't need to go that distant this morning in terms of... You want to respond to his previous question?
Well, it's question to... Like I said, I have no issues about building a new hospital. I'm clear on that I have no problem with that. I believe what we are doing, I think, is the size of what we're trying to do, and not even addressing the issues that we are confronted with now. If you take 20 million out of the money you're going to spend, and spending now to improve the local health care and find money into that, spend some money and improve what we have now, at the same time designing and put in place, get an agreement between the parties that this is what we're going to do for the interests of our country. I believe that we can get all of it done in the interests of our people. Right now, primary health care is key, and where we are is needed. I totally agree. I have no opposition to a new hospital. I just believe the size we're going to do it, and secondly, what we're going to do, I think that need to be relooked.
All right. Pastor Simon, as usual, I want to thank you for being on the program this morning. Best wishes in terms of your pre-candidate launch coming up on Sunday. On Sunday,
6:30, Marion, Plain Field. I'm excited about it.
Anything in closing?
Well, I want to thank the Grenadian people for the opportunity to serve them over the years. I've done that all my life. People know me, and I look forward in serving them and continue to do what I've always done. My availability, and to be able to give my best and to be able to do my best to help persons to be better than they are today.
All right. Once again, sir, thank you very much, and hope to have you back on the program as soon as possible.
I look forward to it, and see persons on Sunday, 6:30, Marion, Plain Field.
Hey, folks, that's what we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Thank all who contributed. Have a good one, folks. Let me say goodbye for today. And, of course, this program wraps up. There was a week of programs, so join me again next week. Have a good one, folks. Goodbye.